Hey guys, Dr. Pete here from Precision Movement. I'm here with Trone today. We're going to be talking about basketball specific injuries. We'll start off with giving you guys a little bit of a background on our personal injury stories, and then today is just the introduction of, discussion on how to deal with injuries, what are some common injuries, and at the end we'll just give you guys some tips on how to manage these issues. So yeah, Trone, go and introduce yourself.
Hi everybody, my name is Trone Jackson. I've been training for the last 8 years, played collegiate Division II at Livingstone College. I've had my fair share of injuries, from ankles, knee injuries, hamstring injuries that I'm still fighting for over the last 4 years. So just talking about getting back to that stuff and how to recover off of those injuries.
Definitely, yeah, and even for myself, I played at a small high school, and I was dealing with, my knees hurt, my arches would hurt, and my left hip would lock up on me randomly. And this was before I knew anything about physical therapy, anything about the body, and I thought it was just part of the game. I thought it was just you know what, I play basketball, I'm gonna have to deal with this pain. But after going through PT school, physical therapy school, and just learning more about the body, 10 years later, I'm feeling better than I was at 21, 22. So that's kind of part of my mission now, is to give back and to educate the basketball community. And that's why I invited Trone to kind of just have an open discussion about, injuries maybe he's been dealing with, and some common injuries maybe he's seen in his peers or in the NBA. And then we'll kind of finish off with some tips on how to deal with that. So yeah, Trone, some of your injuries, was it during basketball games, or kind of when did you experience these injuries?
I've actually never been hurt during the actual game.
Okay, interesting.
All of my injuries were either preseason or practice.
Okay.
Ankle injuries, falling on someone's foot.
Yeah.
Hamstring injury actually happened when I was trying to gain weight.
Oh, interesting.
Not running enough, not stretching enough, obviously.
Right.
A lot of stuff I see from clients is probably just getting hurt from overuse and not stretching.
Yeah.
Their body's real tight,
right,
and then they do something now, your hips popped or pulled a hamstring, calf injury, ankles and stuff like that.
Right. It's pretty interesting what you said, because injuries do happen at two spectrums. Injuries do happen, from studies and research where it's before the season, when you're gearing things up, but injuries do happen also when you overuse, when you're doing too much. So I guess some tips that I would recommend for pre-season or things to get your body ready is definitely warming up. And warming up can look like a lot of different things, but for the most part, it's doing the movement that you're going to be doing at a slow speed and slowly working up the speed. Most of the time, you know how it is. You bring your shoes to the gym, put the shoes on. Oh, you got next? All right, cool. And then you kind of go.
Then I'm ready.
You think you're ready. And yeah, when we were younger, of course, we were ready. But just like a car, you got to turn on the engine first. You can't just go and drive the car.
Right.
You got to slowly move the body around, get the engine lubricated, so to speak, and then kind of go from there. So if you guys have any questions on what a proper warm-up looks like, we can definitely help with that. So talking about overuse injuries, though, especially right now with travel ball and just everyone's training and whatnot, definitely some tips on that is trying to figure out your workload. Like you always talk about too. It's hey, there's the performance side, there's a training side, but there's a recovery side.
Right.
And I know you're big on that with your clients, right?
Yes, recovery is important. Understanding the body's important.
Yeah.
I think another thing where some more so high schoolers and younger college players go wrong is not being functionally strong. And not understanding that with basketball, you have to do things that are basketball specific.
Right.
In the weight room, as far as stretches.
Right.
As far as warm up even.
Yeah.
And weak cores.
Right.
So I think those are a lot of the things that people need to work on and get better at working on, and actually understanding how their body works.
Exactly.
And I think that's a big thing.
Absolutely, yeah. For myself too, it's been a side project of mine to create a mini Bible, so to speak, or a mini manual on for athletes, as far as what should you be doing for a warm-up, what should you be doing for even a functional strength training for a program. Because unfortunately, let's just be honest, a lot of our strength training out there is bodybuilding style or
football
related things. Yeah, unfortunately, because that's from kind of the biggest high school demographic is football, right?
Right.
And so then the training we logically assume is the same for basketball, but it's not. Football movement, biomechanics is much different than basketball. So a lot of what we're going to be talking about in future episodes is what are some functional basketball strength training programs that we can give kids and even collegiate athletes or even pros. Because sometimes even the pros break down real easy out there, right? And we assume sometimes that they have the best training, and which they probably do, but sometimes they may not be specific enough for them. And so we'll be talking about ways to kind of tailor your workouts to your own body type. Of course, number one thing is getting assessed, getting evaluated by a movement-based physical therapist, by a biomechanical specialist, whatever the professional person that can look at your biomechanics, look at how you're moving, look at your flexibility, look at your strength, look at how you're absorbing shock and exploding out of there. And so that's definitely some things that we can work on here in precision movement. So, but yeah, long-term wise, obviously, we have the injury. Ways to deal with it, of course, like I mentioned before, is try not to just rest and just wait a month. Try to go talk to someone, get evaluated. Long-term issues, like for myself too, I think I've sprained my ankles like 20 times each from landing on someone's foot. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I used to just run down the court and my ankle would just go out. Like, what's going on there? So it took me a while to get back from this, but a lot of the things and tips that I would recommend to people is slowly, of course, training, but training your one leg. Because a lot of times, again, we're lifting with both legs, we're squatting, but really being able to master a one-leg squat. Once you can master like a one-leg squat movement, then try to just do mastering one-leg squat jumps. And once you can master that, try to master one-leg squat side jumps. So that can work on your ankle stability, that can work on your knee stability, and also your hip and core stability too.
Right.
So that's kind of a tip that I would recommend, at least from a general sense. But yeah. So if you guys have any questions, of course, as far as basketball injuries, tips on training, Trone can definitely help with that. Tips on how to manage your body or injury, or being better and being less at risk for injury, I can definitely help with that. So stay tuned for future episodes. We'll be pushing this on Instagram and YouTube. So if you guys have any questions at all, feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to answer them. All right, guys, thanks so much. Appreciate it, and we'll have a good day.